Now, in wrestling, can we look at tag teams for a second? Because I'm thinking about this. I'm like, okay, so pairing up people to work together in storylines, we have this whole dysfunction thing. The thing about wrestling that, and I brought this up a few weeks ago when we were talking about Hawk getting that main event at the Bunkhouse Stampede. May we bring up the Bunkhouse Stampede every week for the duration of the show. He gets the shot at Rick. But I knew as a kid that the Road Warriors couldn't break up. So it was never going to be, the title was never going to change hands. I guess I was a teenager. But even before that, when they would do that shit where like Tony Garea and Rick Martel, right? Tony Garea gets a shot at, the Iron Sheik that week when he was holding the title. And it wasn't going to happen because they couldn't break, they're a team.
Right.
And they need the strength as a team. But you see now, like Road Warriors, Garea and Martel I mentioned earlier, Rock and Roll Express, Ricky and Robert, they were always of the exact same mold, okay, with a slight difference, hair color, one bigger than the other. Rockers, right, with Sean and Marty, very similar in moveset, physicality, look, less the hair color, but they were a unit. They were a packaged unit. But I always loved when wrestling would take that buddy film mentality and put two ill-fitting misfits together that you'd never listen, if you walked into a locker room and there's Greg Valentine and there's Brutus Beefcake, would you ever say, we have to form a team with you two? Or Adrian Adonis and Jesse when they were the East-West connection. Ill-fitting, okay, there you go. Sean and Kane. Ill-fitting, and I always loved that because I thought it was so much harder to get in the fans' mind to get over a tag team like that. But when it happened, when you got them over, it was such an achievement. I thought anyway. Having spent no time in the wrestling business, I was always impressed by that. Even Sheik and Volkov, they were just from countries that the U.S. hated. But I guess they bonded in that. But you look at them, very different. The boots and the move sets were different. You had the power guy and then the wrestler. I always appreciated that greatly.
Zoom in on the abs, cameraman.
Cameraman, zoom. Before I smack bitch who will not do the arch.
Do the arch. Nikolai, do the arch.
So I always dug that. We'll call that the buddy film formula in wrestling.